everyone, and my name is 𝗪𝗠𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗂𝘁𝗍𝗵𝗂𝗀𝗧𝗏. I'm one of the WIMSA committee members. Such an honor for me and a privilege to actually come and facilitate such an important discussion around mental health. And as we know, this month we're actually celebrating mental health. Actually, it's the whole month, but on the 10th, it was sort of like a dedicated day for all of us to probably celebrate mental health. I'm sure in our different workspaces or work or anywhere, probably it was truly highlighted and it was truly emphasized. I mean, a lot of companies or mining spaces, I mean, when it comes to mental health, it has been something that is truly a main focus, not just on this month alone, but definitely throughout the whole year. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And then from my side, obviously I know a lot of people have already introduced themselves, you know. I think I wouldn't be doing justice if I don't introduce my panelists today. But I'll just give you just their names and then I'll let them introduce themselves. You know, sometimes when you introduce people, sometimes they get shocked. Is this me who you are introducing? So I'm trying to let them sell themselves for you because sometimes you'll think probably I'm adding spice or not. But yeah, but this is probably going to be an amazing conversation that we're going to be having today. We have great women who are going to be joining us today in this conversation. And the great thing about it is that they come from all different diverse spaces in terms of their day-to-day jobs, and they bring in different perspective to this topic, which I think it'll be something of great value to all of us. So the first person that we have obviously is Fikile on the other side, and then we have Gloria, and then we have Sibongile. So I'll just let Fikile to just introduce herself probably in a few minutes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Patu. Really, really excited to be here and to have been invited into this conversation. I think it's an important conversation to have in this time. It's a pivotal time, I think, to be engaging about, you know, redefining enough. So I'm really, really excited to be here. But nonetheless, as Patu has mentioned, I am Fikile. I work for the Particle Group, and I am head of people there. Really, in a nutshell, I just love people. I just love people. I care about people. I love being involved in creating safe spaces within the workspace and really driving cultures that make people feel cared for, make people feel happy at work, you know, because we spend so much time at work, three quarters, I think somebody said actually, 3/4 of our lives we spend at work. And so if we can create a space where people really enjoy being there, really enjoy working hard, understand what the vision is, understand their part in driving the vision, I think that just makes the world a whole lot better place. And so, yes, that's me.
Thank you so much, Fikile. Thank you so much. And Gloria, take it away.
Oh, okay, I'm muted. Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation. So my name is Gloria, and I'm a mining engineer. So I've been in the mining space for 18 years, started at the bottom as a sampling helper until on senior management, and I've managed big shafts responsible for the production and the safety and the health of the employees. And apart from that, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I'm a person who like to empower women. I enjoy being financially free. I had to have financial freedom, and I'm very flexible. And I like to make sure that I utilize my time efficiently and expose myself to a whole lot of things. And I'm excited to be part of this conversation today, since I'm working with a lot of people in a man-dominated space where safety is #1 priority. And pleased to meet everyone here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you so much for gracing our scrims and for showing up today. And Sibongile, if you can just please kindly just introduce yourself.
Sure. After these two introductions, I feel I've got a weakness on my knees. Sitting amongst great women indeed that are making an impact out there, which is beautiful to see. But I think, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me onto the platform, challenging me to come onto the platform rather. And it is truly an important topic that you have put forth to challenge each of us to really be more personal in or intentional in reflecting with oneself, which is not always easy if you are really in this fast-paced world. I'm a social worker by profession and currently pursuing my, or finishing off rather, my occupational social work master's degree via 𝗣𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗶. And I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about workplaces in particular. As I've started, I could say, within the EAP space from my first year of completion. So I've really had a chance to nurture my profession within this space, and both in private and in public. And yeah, I'm in the mining sector, providing wellness services in some of the mines around Witbank and or rather 𝗣𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗵𝗂𝗍. And excited to be here. Let me cut it short. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, imagine the 2 hours that we're probably gonna be having tonight, just breaking this whole topic and theme with such esteemed women in the industry. And you can just see, I did not have to sell them, guys. It's not me, but you can see already they're pretty much experienced, and we cannot wait to just learn from them. Absolutely love it. Just something before I actually introduce myself and go deep into the topic, ground rules. So to everyone who's probably joining us, definitely and I mean, it does not even take it away from the topic already, which is focusing on mental health. I just want us to be kind to each other on the comments. Please definitely use the comments. You can write your thoughts, whatever questions that you have at whatever given time that you probably have the question. We'll definitely make sure that we engage, and it's a conversation that is very inclusive of also your thoughts or your questions at that given time. So please don't shy away. Do send out your questions. If it's possible, you can see that I have co-host. If maybe you are actually shy to send it directly on the chat, definitely do DM them directly, and then we'll definitely share the question with our panelists. Definitely, these sessions are it's not just a routine, it's not just an exercise. It's definitely for the sessions to impact our lives and ensure that we're definitely better than how we probably were when we joined the sessions. Please do take full advantage of the session, if I may say so myself. So yes, and I introduced myself and I just said that I'm a 𝗪𝗠𝘁 committee member, but in actual fact, I also am an account manager at AECI. I have degree in chemical engineering and also an honors in environmental management, but I also lead a team. And my team is not just a team that is mainly focused on women alone per se, but it's actually balanced and also age-wise. And I'm actually a champion of mental health and actually good mental health, because I myself has also gone through a journey wherein I definitely saw the importance of mental health. And just to start off, because sometimes it's much easier when you get to know the person, right? And then it makes it easier for the conversation to sort of like flow through, right? When I started working, I actually thought mental health was just a main focus on performance, right? And then it just meant whatever is happening around your life or anywhere else, even if it does not impact your work, just leave it away. Focus on your work, give your all to your work, you know. And sadly, so I learned the hard way. Obviously, as you grow up, you do learn, and then you get to see what works and actually what does not work, you know. I remember at one point, I felt like I was excelling so much in just showing up. And, you know, being in a male-dominated environment, it comes in with that pressure, you know, to say that you don't want to seem like you're the weak one. You don't want to seem like you're the one who does not show up. You don't want to seem like actually you are not here, you know. It's like you just waiting for things to be handed over to you. And one thing that I learned about mental health is that while you are still doing that, there's a lot going on. And I think that's why I love this topic, to say, how do you win in a world that is always on, you know? As much as I was focusing to that, I lost my mom. And still, in me, I feel like I'm handling it well because I'm sort of like hiding it with the workload and everything, right? And then sadly, guys, and sometimes we live in denial that you don't realize that you're the one who's not posing, when there's certain situations that definitely are to lead you to actually take a pause and say, am I okay? You know, what can I do if I'm not okay? Where do I get help? What's the next step that I have to take in this case or whatnot? But that's why this topic is so much close to my heart, because I've gone through the journey. It might not be a similar story to most of you guys, but I've definitely gone through my own self journey, which I have seen the impact of actually knowing that certain things that you do are enough, you know. And I think it's a great conversation that we're gonna redefine enough. And enough for me does not mean it's enough for you, right? So I'm actually pretty much excited. I hope no one is snoozing already. No one is snoozing. Guys, I actually think I'm funny, but I don't actually think I'm funny. So if my jokes are too dry for you, right, just hit me with a laughing emoji. I'll probably get the gist to say, hey, maybe I should stop with that joke or whatnot. But yeah, I think yeah, we're gonna have a great time. So yes, just to get to it, I think we're gonna start off also with a poll, because I just want to get a feel of how people are thinking about this whole topic, right? And it's just gonna be something which is so exciting. And I hope you guys are gonna engage in this poll. So the poll is just about, which of these common sayings have you caught yourself believing or hearing lately? If someone can just assist me with just posting that poll so that people can start. It says first option. These are common sayings that probably we might have believed them in our previous life or currently now or even yesterday or today, right? But please just vote there so that we can see. The first option is rest is for the weak, walala wasala, you know? And the next option is keep pushing no matter what. And then the third one is you can sleep when you are dead. You know, I've had that one so many times, you know? And then the fourth one is feelings slow you down. Why do you need to feel it? I mean, you're at work here. We're not here to nurse your feelings, you know. We've had that so many times. And then caffeine is a coping mechanism. Don't be shy. You know you cannot do anything without caffeine. It feels like it's probably more, even if the doctor does not prescribe it, you probably prescribe it yourself every day. Like, it's gonna fix all my problems in the morning, you know? So yeah, and I see, oh my God, it seems like keep pushing no matter what. It's what people are going for, hey? Keep pushing no matter what. Imagine, hey? Imagine living in a world that you make that your reality. Like, keep pushing no matter what. Woo! You know? And I would just like to get some thoughts from our panelists, obviously, also looking at the results, right? And also some of these common sayings, to say, what do you think about this? What's your take? The fact that people actually saw some of these sayings and they actually believe them, you know? If anyone can just take it, please.
Absolutely. I can hop on here, Patu. That list is quite hilarious. It's quite hilarious. And one of the things that I was thinking about just the other day actually is that the default setting of our culture is actually always on, right? And it's probably one of the topics we'll explore as we engage, but always on is the default setting. And we live in a time where things like burnout, a lack of rest, those things are actually glorified. You know, people brag themselves about, oh, you know, I only slept 2 hours last night. And somehow that is a is a badge of honor. And truly, that is not the case. It is not cute, not, you know, having eye bags,
Not.
walking around zombie. It is not cute.
It's definitely not cute. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a pity that, you know, they always say, I think people don't understand working hard and working smart, right? Because it means like hard, you need to push yourself to a breaking point, you know? And that's not actually it, because you are not supposed to get to a breaking point. I mean, there's also a quote that says that even the toughest rock cracks, you know, once it gets enough pressure. It means that there's always a breaking point for everyone. So it's a pity that people actually believe that. I don't know, Gloria, what's your thought around this poll selection?
I mean, as a person, you can only do so much in a day. So a day has 24 hours, and you don't have that 24 hours. You need at least 8 hours to rest. So if you don't look after yourself, if you don't rest, how are you going to now pour on other people's cups the following day? How are you going to have strength, you know, to face the challenges of that you face on a daily basis? So it's they are saying it as if, no, we are not human beings. You can't pause, you can't think, you can't rest. And if you do that, I'm telling you, you will burn out. And instead of wasting an hour, you'll be wasting 24 hours or even 30 days in a month. So there is no way as a human being you can go on, no matter what are the deadlines. You cannot. So you need to put planning in place. You need to delegate. You need to work as a team, you know, and you need to understand your strength and your weaknesses so you can delegate some of the work and then have time to rest. That's just my opinion in this whole thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gloria. And I mean, just drawing back to what you just shared, I mean, 24% of the people just chose the you can sleep when you're dead option to say that they once believed it, you know. And I think sometimes we don't understand that death is not actually you going 6 feet down, right? You can actually be alive and still yet be dead, right? Because it's like there's no life in you. In actual fact, you've pushed yourself to a point where you can't feel, you can't do, you're not productive. You are just, I don't want to say a zombie walking because I've never seen one, but something like that, right? So thank you so much, Gloria, for sharing. Sibongile, what's your thoughts around the poll?
I concur with what the ladies have added, especially coming from a social worker's perspective, for instance. I myself have been guilty of that, you know, where you will actually sit and type reports till 3 a.m. or you will sleep for 2 hours and wake up and you've got your cup of coffee that you're trying to keep yourself awake. And in the morning, guess what? You present the report to your boss and they say, put it on the table and I'll check it later. Fact is, you still need to be up in the morning, same time as you are expected with any other person to show up and deliver services as you are being paid to do. So who actually saw that you did not sleep throughout the night and now you need to perform, but you're now grumpy and you can't even pour out the best parts of you or of your knowledge to the people that need it. So burnout is real, mental health is real, and we need to take care of ourselves. Thank you for that one.
That is so true. Hey, you need to take care of yourself. I always tell my team that, and I make it seem like a joke, right? They laugh at me about it and they don't take me seriously. And I'm like, you know what, guys? If you are not okay, for me, I'll rather have you at home than at work. That's just me. Because when you're at home, at least you can rest and recover. But when you are here at work, you are a risk to everyone, to yourself, to everyone. I also tell them, I'm like, sometimes it might be hard to sort of like disclose, what the issues are. And I think it's something that it's to note. And I'm sure probably you guys, you definitely dig deep into it to say that most people are actually afraid of being vulnerable, right? In our workspaces, to say that I'm not okay, because the question is like, why are you not okay, And then the issue is that maybe there isn't a safe space, or maybe they themselves just do not feel like it's a safe place because of the stigma around mental health, right? Because now it's like, if I say I'm not okay because mentally I feel like this, it's like, okay, maybe I'm not the right person for the position, right? It's like, if I say I'm not okay because of this, maybe someone is going to take it like, maybe they are making me feel that way, right? And I also make jokes to say there are so many things. I mean, with the young ones, I tell them, I'm like, you come to work, you've been dumped, right? You're in a relationship, right? You can't focus. Probably you thought this is your Prince Charming or whatnot, right? And for you, it's so hard for you to process everything that is happening, and you are there, not focused. You can make silly mistakes wherein you are not supposed to be making silly mistakes. Someone can be correcting you for a mistake that you are making, but in that moment, probably you can lash out and it can lead into something so much big. But it can be avoided by just acknowledging that it is okay not to be okay also. It is okay not to be at your best every day, So thank you so much, guys, for just sharing that. And as we dig deep into, and guys, I have a lot of stories, so I'll try to keep it short today with my stories. And because I can definitely write what is it, a Showmax 6 series, 12 episodes series. But as we get to the topic that is pretty much exciting me, I just want my panelists to define what does enough mean for them right now in their current state of life. And if you could also please just participate in the chats if you also just want to share what does enough mean to you currently now. Because we know dictionary-wise it means sufficient, It just means that you cannot take in, you cannot give more than what you're already given, or you cannot take in more responsibility. It just means everything is enough. What does enough mean for you guys? If maybe I can just start with Sibongile.
Sure. It's a difficult one, especially when you in our profession. We work with a lot of people that have unlimited problems on a daily basis, where you feel that you have not done enough to help a person. You forget that you are a facilitator of change most of the time, as much as you are the professional. But you're a facilitator of change. Once you have looked at the problem, once you've assessed it, once you've looked at what possible interventions can be provided and what is accessible to you, you need to be able to say, listen, I have done my best here as a facilitator of helping this person. Reflecting, have I pushed, have I exhausted all possible avenues, So it's very easy for us to find ourselves not checking in as much as we should and not being as real with ourselves as we should be. And for me, enough goes back to me realizing that I need to nourish myself, I need to be sustainable at the same time for the next patient or the next client that is coming in. And I need to align with my current reality, which is often and has often in the past been very difficult. As you've said, when you come in being much younger, you just have this idea that you're here to change the world, and you know all the doors are open for you to actually provide services, provide resources for your clients. But reality is it's not always like that. So what is my current capacity? Can I still go on? What does my body feel like? You know, are my eyes droopy? Is my heart pacing because I've been sitting with coffee and I've been sitting on the phone for hours and I'm just not getting through? You know, what is the time? What is my reality? What have I left at home? How many calls have I ignored or just put on silent because I'm trying to do more than my enough? So for me, it's being able to nourish myself. It's being able to align with my current truth and what is happening now, my capacity now, because I can envision myself going as far as walking to Cape Town. But the reality is physically, that is not possible. So enough is, this is my current and capacity to be able to provide and support this current person. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I see there's someone who also commented, I think Charmaine, who just said, enough for me is being content about who you are and not letting others define you. And I think it just draws back to what you are saying, to say that, what's my reality now? You know, because sometimes we're so much fixated on other things which are not even here. And probably by the time they get here, they might not find us at this point. So if Fikile, you can please take it away. Yes, Fikile, you're unmuted. Hi, Fikile, can you hear me? I think this.
Hi, Patu. Sorry about that. I think my.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Okay, you're back. Yes, I can.
All right.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. I think my line dropped for a second there. All right. What becomes enough? I liked what you said about how actually enough is self-defined, right? Nobody can actually define what becomes enough for you, what becomes enough for me. And so I think it becomes important to take the time to truly define what is enough for me, for Fikile, right? And what is enough for Patu, because the world will always, always place a demand, right? When you say enough is at 50, the world will say, come on, 55. You say, okay, 55. They say, come on, enough is 60 now. So that benchmark is constantly, constantly shifting, right? And so where I find myself right now and how I'm defining enough is that enough for me is the point at which I choose to be content, right? The moment I say, you know what, I am content, this is enough, and being intentional about identifying what that picture looks like, right? So how I navigate this topic of enoughness is looking at it as, you know, in life, they speak about how you're constantly juggling different balls, right? And so I think sometimes we stop there, but it's beyond that because it's like, okay, what are my balls, right? And those balls are not the same. There's work, there's family commitments, there's children, there's school. And so there's constantly a number of different balls that we're juggling. And so I look at it as those balls are not all the same. At any given point in time, you need to be able to assess which are my plastic balls and which are my glass balls, right? Because if I drop a plastic ball, I can pick that thing up. It's okay. You know, I can dust it off. I will put it into cycle again, and then we're juggling again. But if I drop a glass ball, the consequences thereof become a bit more dire, right? And so enough for me is being in a place where, man, I'm doing the best I can to juggle all these balls, but I've got my glass balls in the air, right? And so that point for me becomes important. And so right now in the season that I'm in, my glass balls are being able to service the people I love at the particle group, guys, they have my heart. So if I am servicing them well, and I know that they are okay, they are happy, their well-being is being taken care of, for me, that's a glass ball in the air, and I'm enough. right? Another glass bowl in this season for me is my family, right? My family, I think collectively we've been going through a lot. And so being able to support them, being able to be there for them, that's a glass ball in the air for me. If I can do that, my aunt calls me and I can answer the phone and not ignore it because I've got a meeting to go into or whatever the case might be. That for me is a glass ball in the air. And then another thing
Mm.
is just I'm very I participate in faith and I'm very active in my church community, and that fills my cup. And so when I can't fill that cup, then it feels like a glass ball falling to the ground. And so if I can have
Mm.
that up in the air, then I feel that is enough. And so I think it's about deciding what becomes your personal threshold. That is so
Mm.
key because if somebody comes to me and says, "Ah, look, you're not doing enough because you failed to, what's an example? You failed to, I don't know, wash the dishes last night," which is, a silly example, but you failed to wash the dishes last night. And I say, you know what? I didn't wash the dishes because I was on the phone call, talking to my aunt who was ranting at me about how her boss is, not doing the best for her or whatever. I filled my cup. I held my glass ball. And so
Mm.
you cannot tell me that I ought not to feel enough. And so it becomes really, really important to be intentional about penning down what enough is for
Mm.
us.
Mm. Ah, I hope you are taking your pens. I'm already writing. I thought I had a lot of glass balls. And now I'm realizing definitely probably it's just 3 or 4. Because I love the analogy. And I think it is definitely putting also things in perspective for me personally, and I hope it's doing the same. I can see people are definitely commenting on that. And yeah. Gloria, if you can please just share. Um,
Yeah, so for me, enough right now means peace, not perfection,
mm,
as being able to rest at night, knowing I give my
mm,
best without trying to be everything to everyone.
yeah.
So it's realizing that success is not just next title or next milestone. It's freedom to slow down, to breathe, to enjoy life, that you have built.
Mm,
It's enough for me. It's when my ambition and my peace coexist. If that is enough, nothing more, nothing less than that.
and it definitely it sounds enough. I love when you say peace, not
Yeah,
perfection,
yeah.
because sometimes we are so hard on ourselves, no one is even putting any pressure on us. It's just us against us. And imagine who's gonna win, who's gonna lose at that point, it's a win-lose type of situation. So thank you so much for sharing that. We gonna because today it's gonna be a fun one, right? And we still trust me, we have a lot in store for you. You're gonna be so amazed. If you thought this is great already, I don't know what's gonna happen in the next hour or so. So we're just gonna go to our second poll, right? Which is mainly just for us to get a feel in terms of challenges that people are probably experiencing who are currently joining us today. And the poll is saying, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to maintaining good mental health? We always say it's Mental Health Day, and I think we forget the good. Um, because I think that's the most important part, the good mental health. Like, what's the struggle? Because we just want to understand, because sometimes it's not that we don't know that we are not at a good mental state, right? Sometimes it's what am I really struggling with? What do I do about it, right? If someone can just assist me with that poll, just to put it on, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to maintaining good mental health? Please, guys, as usual, let's participate. Um, uh, it's actually not this one. Umrani, I'm not sure. Umrani, if you can just assist.
Okay, I will be launching it now with the comfortability one.
Yeah, the
How
balance and
comfortable.
boundaries.
Oh, the balance and boundaries. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, guys, if we can just take it away and make our choices. Yeah, so the first option is the biggest challenge when it comes to maintaining good mental health is work-life balance. The second was lack of time. I think some of the things that we did mention, and I think 𝗪𝗁𝘁 did speak about the stress or burnout that currently now it's what's glorified, you know. And the last option is not knowing where to start. This is how I feel. I know I'm not at a good mental state, but what do I do, you know? I mean, Raksha's even asking, is there such a thing as work-life balance? You know, I mean, we keep on debating this topic, right? Year in, year out, because it feels like, can you ever get it right? You know, can you ever get it right to actually balance your whole life, you know? And I just want to get your feel, maybe if we can just start to say, with Sibongile. If you can just assist, if someone is saying, I don't know where to start, I know I'm not at a good mental state right now. I don't know where to start. What can you advise that person who's probably saying, I don't know where to start? You're on mute, Swangile.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I would say it's looking at, or rather starting with body awareness. You know, am I aware of my body language? Our bodies, if we say, one of the most important thing in therapy when somebody comes in is that you use your body as a tool. And our bodies are constantly communicating with us. However, we don't always listen. You know, sometimes there's that nudge when you are walking in a room and there's a certain conversation that is continuing around you that you know that you are not as comfortable with, but you remain. Your body comes in, or your body language starts to, you know, give you hints to say, I'm not comfortable right now. It could be a cold kick in the stomach. It could be a tension on the neck or tension on the shoulders, but we ignore it. How aware are we of our bodies? I could be sitting doing an assignment or sitting on TikTok and my eyes keep drooping and wanting to close. But I keep saying, no, I'm okay. I'm still wanting to see this one more clip on TikTok. Am I aware of what my body is communicating to me? Because on every minute of the day, our bodies are communicating with us. I love this one thing as well that I usually share is that regular check-ins with ourselves. As I'm seated on the chair, as I press my feet on the ground, what do I feel? Is there tension? Is there no tension? What is that saying? Should I wake up? Should I get up and take a walk? As I'm seated and I've got my back to the chair and I'm in the office, I've been typing and I feel lower back pain. What is it saying to me? Have I been sitting long enough? Am I aware of what my body is communicating with me? It could be the smallest things that we actually overlook. Going back to, what else can I say? Saying no. We sit so often with so much on our plate, where constant requests or constant suggestions are coming in. Can you please assist us with this current project? We know that you're good with this, you're good with that, but I know that I'm sitting here, I can't breathe. I'm trying to calculate the number of things that I still need to do. It is us learning how to draw those healthy boundaries and knowing how to communicate it. How do I put words correctly so that it doesn't sound rude, it doesn't sound unprofessional, it doesn't sound as if I'm an insubordinate subordinate, you know? How do I say things correctly that I am assertive, but also advocate for myself? My plate is full. What else is on your plate that you can no longer take? So we sit with a plate full on a daily basis. We sit with, please respond to this email. It's very urgent. Your emergency might not be my urgency right now to respond. I will respond to the message first thing in the morning. Because you know, you've got an appointment that you actually need to go to, but you want to sit. And because an email has come in and they're saying it is urgent, is that person's emergency similar to your emergency right now? Am I able to say no? Am I able to advocate for myself? There's quite a lot, but I think I'll leave it for some of the ladies to also share a bit there or engage.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that, being able to say, advocating for yourself, and it draws back to say, you know what's enough for you, and if you do not know what's enough for you, then how are you going to be able to advocate for yourself, And I just love that so much. And I mean, there's this also quote that says that even waves know where to stop. Because if not, the whole world will be flooded right now, You must know where to actually say, no, I can't take in more. I'm okay. That's it, and not being rude and just be assertive and stuff like that. Thank you so much. And listening to your body. I think listening to your body is very important, guys. Because honestly, let's be honest. I think she also made a point about TikTok, I know, but she said your eyes are dripping and closing and you are there like still scrolling under TikTok, right? And then tomorrow still you are so tired just because you could not just rest. Allow yourself to rest because that rest is also important. That pause, just pausing and allowing your body to also rest. I don't know if there's anything that you guys will also like to share, Gloria and Fikile, when it comes to not knowing where to start, if there's just something that you can share.
For me, it will be able to understand what is important for you, and then what is urgent. And you need to have a plan and a schedule to say, I'm going to attend what is important, and what is not important is urgent. Then you will have to put it aside and attend it when you have time. Because if you don't do that, you will end up running a day with urgent things because everything is urgent to them. And if you are not going to draw a line and set boundaries and say, no, today, this is what I have planned to do. And once I'm done with this, I'm not going to now attend anything else. So once you have drawn those boundaries to attend to what is important and then the agents later, then I think that will help you to go through the day without being burnt out.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gloria. That's definitely true. Because you can be very busy and yet not productive, because everyone is saying everything. It's subjective, agency. And we are not saying that there are things that are not agent, but we are saying that what is agent to you at that particular time. Be able to sort of like introspect and assess certain situations so that you are not always, those kind of friends that they end up knowing you to say, if I call her now, I know she's going to show up. No matter what she's doing, where she is, she's going to show up. Because what does that say about you? It means that person sees you as someone who does not have things that you value. It means that at any given time, they can sway you. You can be moved. You can be at certain places probably that you don't even want to be in just because you do not have boundaries. And I think boundaries are very, very key and important. Fikile, you had something to share?
Yes, I wanted to just add in there to say that I think another good place to start is assessing what is within your agency of control, right? Because I think sometimes we
Mm.
find ourselves in a really, not optimal mental health state or state of mental health, because we are trying to control what is beyond ourselves. And so I think a starting point is being able to look inward and assessing things like, what are my values, right? Being able to assess things like, what is important to me, as the ladies have mentioned, because I think as much as sometimes we skip over yes to, yes, this is my boundary, it's a hard line in the sand and you don't cross it. But we can't stand our ground, when the wind and the turbulence comes and it threatens to push that boundary, because we don't even know why we started. We don't even know what becomes the foundation of those boundaries. So I think it becomes important to say that, okay, what can I control? Truly, for free, I'll tell you, it's yourself. You can't control other people. You can't control that person that sends you that email and they're going to shout because they want you to attend to it immediately. You cannot control them, but you can control your response, right? And so a boundary in place that says, yep, no, it's 6 p.m. right now. I'm having family time. Why? Because family time is a value to me. It is something that's important to me. And I'm not going to let anybody push that, away from me or allow anybody to violate that as a value. And in the full picture of things, I believe that certainly, nourishes our good, being in a good well-being state or being in a good state of mental health.
Ah, thank you so much, hey. Because sometimes you are definitely right, hey. What you cannot control, you just invest so much energy and you will not get any result, and it frustrates you more. It frustrates you even more and worse. So thank you so much, ladies, for sharing, and thank you so much to the audience for participating. I don't know if Ndamo or Shanae or Humbu can just, if there's something to note on the comments there that we can probably share.
Thank you, Patu. I think the comments that are there, it's people commenting from what the engagements that are coming from our panelists. Like it's more like being people's pleaser, adding to Rorisang and Gloria's comments and Sibongile saying you need to advocate for yourself and start with your own priorities, create boundaries as well. So it's people just affirming what our panelists are saying, the strong messages that we're getting from our panelists. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Humbrani. Thank you so much. I have a burning question, right? I know, Fikile, you are the head of people, right? And I mean, it's a stressful position to be in, mostly when we come to such topics, right? Because everyone just assumes you are supposed to be on their side, right? It's like, it's you. If the decision is not being made, if there's no change, if there's no shift, it's definitely you, because you are probably the forefront person, the representation, right? You're probably the anchor and also the champion of this kind of topics, right, in your organization or so. But I just want to understand, and I want to move away from the negative feel, right? Because sometimes we get so much fixated on talking about the negative side of what organizations are doing. But today, I just want us to focus on the positive side. From your side, what are some culture shifts that you are seeing, within organization? It can be organization or maybe outside that you've seen. I know there are things like employee wellness programs, that these days are so big when it comes to workspaces, also in mining spaces, I think also my company has one. And and people probably, and probably this will be a follow-up question. I just want to first to just understand what are some of the good shifts that you're seeing in workspaces when it comes to culture shifts and mental health.
Yeah, no, I think we're living in interesting times, Patu, where, before, mental health wasn't even a topic of discussion. And now we're going into a time where companies are having conversations in boardrooms about the mental health state of employees. And it's so, so beautiful to see. And so just for context, in terms of what I want to focus on, I recently attended a Mental Health Matters conference hosted by Gibbs and Lyra, Southern Africa. And their MD 𝗪𝗂𝘁𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗀𝗵𝗲𝗍, she said something so profound, right? And I want to quote her and not miss a single beat. She said, "The healthiest companies in the next decade will not just survive, they will thrive because they understand that well-being is a competitive advantage." And so we're moving on, mental health and the well-being of our employees simply being, oh, a nice to have, or oh, look at us, we've got an EAP program, and that becomes enough. But companies are really realizing that when our employees are in a good state of well-being, it is a competitive advantage in the market, in industry. And so that is so, so powerful. And it's so beautiful to see that happening. And so that's one of the shifts that we're seeing, that again, it's not a nice to have, but it's a business imperative. And people understand that, hey, if that operator in the warehouse is not well, or there's family issues and they're not at work, or that takes away from, it's literally monetary value, right, in terms of production. And so mental health and how it translates to where the business stands, those two things, they speak to each other, and people are starting to realize that. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm also seeing a shift where well-being is no longer, employee well-being is no longer the responsibility of top management. People realize that now, that it's no longer, a KPI of the CEO or a KPI of, the group, this manager, but it's something that is being driven by managers, by employees within their relative spaces. They understand now that I have a role to play in the overall employee well-being state of my company. And so they become intentional about doing things like creating psychological safety, whether it's within their department or if it's within that group of colleagues that normally go out for lunch together. And they're also just taking responsibility to just be kind of human beings, right? Because it's not always the big EAP program or, the big things set in place that create and drive employee well-being. It's people being kind, truly. That's where it begins. And so it's really nice to see that people are taking ownership, and they're saying, you know what? My role within the bigger organization is not just, oh, I completed my report, or, I met my client, but it's actually a KPI to say, what is your investment in our organizational culture as it pertains to employee well-being? And it's so nice to see that people are not just passing the buck to the EAP system as well, because that's also an issue where it's, beyond the system, there's nothing else, right? So if an employee comes and, I'm struggling at home and there's issues there and it's really messing up with my ability to focus at work, then the first thing the manager says, have you contacted somebody on the EAP system? Have you read the article on the EAP system? What does the EAP system say, right? And so as much as, yes, there's room and space for that, and it's important, and there's use for that, companies are realizing it's a lot more than just that, and they're invested in being active and being proactive in making sure that the nourishment of the well-being of our people is something that is at the forefront of discussion, right? It's not just, oh, are people okay? But it's like, okay, let us now discuss at board, what is this employee, the mental health state of our people, and it's wonderful to see.
Yeah, it's definitely wonderful to see. And I mean, it's amazing times that we are seeing in organizations, to say that, and you are very right. I mean, also when I have performance review sessions with my team, right? The first session is just for me to check in. And And definitely you are right, even though it's because previously we sort of like used to look at the leaders of the companies to sort of like champion this, but now even someone who's at a lower level, when you see your colleague going through something, you can be a champion, just being there for each other, being a brother's keeper. I think brother's keeper is not just about keeping tab on someone, did they do their task or not or whatnot, but it's just letting someone know that you are actually not alone. Because in actual fact, things that we go through, guys, probably we've all gone through them. It's just that someone maybe might not be comfortable enough to sort of like share and speak to you per se. And sometimes if the person is not comfortable, definitely the wellness programs comes into play. And I'm honestly excited. And I think this is just probably the beginning. There's still more to come, right? And I just want to follow up with a question, right? Because sometimes you find that we do have this good thing, which is the wellness programs, and the company is trying to get everyone involved, right? And then now you're sitting with probably an employee per se, right? Because there's always some people who try to ruin a good thing, And then now when you are sitting with an employee who's probably struggling with performance, right? Not because of mental issues per se, right? But now it's that issue when now they are corrected per se. Now someone corrects you to say, no, I think you should do this like this. And now you hear words like, you're micromanaging me. Now my mental health is so poor. I can't focus, Just want to hear someone from your position to say, what kind of advice can you give both sides, because these are actual things that are happening. Because sometimes people tend to weaponize a good thing that is actually supposed to assist people who really, really need it, So what's your take when it comes to something like that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it happens. It's happening. It's happening. And it's hard because it's difficult to dictate to somebody what becomes their state of mental health, right? If they say, oh yeah, no, oh, you gave me a warning and it's crushed me. I can't be productive anymore. I can't do any. And you can't invalidate those feelings, right? But I think it becomes important to draw the line between the emotionality and the clinical aspects of work, right? So what I mean by that is sometimes, and unfortunately, we live in a culture where people throw words like depression and anxiety disorders and or whatever mental health conditions that become to, or are if or prominent, rather, that's the word I'm looking for, are prominent within our teams right now, right? And so people are very quick to say, I am depressed and I have an anxiety disorder. And you know what? You gave it to me, because you told me I'm not performing, or you made me an anxious person because you are holding me accountable to work. People, they do it. And so how I navigate situations like that is being able to turn away and validate the emotional aspects of it, but also look at the clinical aspect. So I am privileged in that I do have a psychology background. So I'm able to say that, okay, perhaps let's look at what is depression. If you're saying depression has come about because of feedback you've received at work, let's look at what that entails. And let's assess what becomes the symptoms of that. Are you, this? Are you that? Are you this? Are you that? And often you begin to see that truly, if they are honest with themselves, they will be able to say that, what, I'm being a bit dramatic and I know you just hurt my feelings, right? So it's being able to dig deeper and speak to people with facts, Don't just be enticed by a tantrum or be enticed by their emotions. Validate that. Absolutely. I don't believe in invalidating anybody's feelings. That's where they are. That is how they feel. Acknowledge that. See the human in front of you. That's first part. But second part is, okay, I understand you're not very happy right now, and I understand that you're not very comfortable right now, but business imperative, friend. There's KPIs, friend. So let's see how we can get you in a space where you are a little bit more emotionally stable, right? Let's bring you back. Let's bring you back to center. And then let's talk about how we can get you in a place where you are able to focus, you are able to be productive. And so I think also, it's not about just cracking the whip, because sometimes, companies tend to be very quick to crack the whip. And you're like, oh, this person, they're just throwing a tantrum, just issue them another warning, just, And I think lead with kindness. Leading with kindness often gets you the kinds of conversations and the kind of feedback that you wish to entice in an employee like that, where it's like, let's really be honest. Let's talk about this. And I think when you create those spaces of just honest conversations and you lead that conversation as a manager with kindness, I think you often do get to a space where you're able to have somebody say that, you know what, yes, I understand, I can do better, but I appreciate the support that I have from the company or from the respective manager.
Thank you so much. Hey, and I think you are definitely spot on. I think the biggest thing is also psychological safety, and also just to say, be empathetic and leading with kindness. Because definitely sometimes, like organizations, it's like we have the rule book, says if you don't do this, I do that, that's it.
Yes.
I don't care how someone is feeling or whatnot. They say once I give you a written warning, it's coming. What's coming? It's things like that, which actually do not promote mental health and a person to be psychologically safe to actually express what they're actually going through. And once, if you are unable to have such a conversation, obviously, you'll never get to understand what the other person is going through. It always feels like whatever they're going through is nothing, but probably what you are going through feels like it's a lot. But how come the other person's story feels like it's not validated to be heard, Thank you so much for sharing that, hey? And then Sibongile, I just wanted to ask, right? There's a lot of advices that we get throughout this month and throughout the year, right? In terms of what women can actually do, to sustain their energy and avoid burnout. I just want to hear from you. What's the one underrated practice or mindset that women can adopt, to sustain their energy and avoid burnout? And also just to understand, do you think not doing enough or someone feeling like they're not doing enough is in relation to them not feeling like they're enough? And you're on mute before. Yes.
Sorry, I keep muting because of the movement around the house. I would say one of the most underrated practices would be understanding that we should try building a community. Women, as women, women are not, let me just say, I won't just say women, but in this case, as you said, women. We are wounded in so many ways, so many areas, so many phases of our lives, and we carry that. And as it manifests in different ways in the different relationships that we find ourselves in, being it at work, being it as in business, being it in our homes. And there's a recent term that has been just bubbling in me. I'll say it in this way as it is, that us suffering from wounds of the womb. It sounds a bit deep, but I want to go to that to say we end up not being able to extend ourselves to be in the shoes or walk in the shoes of the next person, because we are mostly competing, against each other, instead of remembering that we ought to be building a community over competing. The stage is big enough for all of us to actually show up with the different crafts that we are. And the more in which you see competition over building a healthy community within your workplace, you find yourself being exhausted. You find yourself feeling inadequate. You find yourselves feeling burnt out because you constantly need to push at, what do I need to do next? What is the next person doing? Am I good enough? There's so much that, goes into that, where so much energy is stuck in the element of, I'm competing with the next person. Am I the best in the field? We're all crafted differently. We all have different backgrounds that have built us to being who we are, to showing up and being at our best. The different wounds that we have actually encountered throughout our lifetime have crafted us to being the best and the expert in that particular, I could say, healing of that particular wound for you to show up being your best. So we get so exhausted, so burnt out because we are competing with one another. I'd say that's one thing that's actually popping out in my mind right now. So knowing who you are, accepting who you are and who you grow on a daily basis to discover yourself to being. Understanding that your shadow is part of you, being it how flawed it may be, it is part of building you into being the expert in that particular area, to form part of this bigger community that we can actually be and form within the workspaces that we are in, to show up as our best, to lift up the next person, to borrow a certain material, to say, you can use this because it's worked for me, but not hide it, to say, I want to be the one that shines brighter. So I think that's what stands out for me. I hope I'm capturing it correctly. And answering your question.
No, you're definitely capturing it correctly. Like, community is very, very important. I think you definitely touched on a very important point also, because sometimes we feel like also us ending up not in a good mental state because we are working in male-dominated environments. It's like it's coming from the male dominance, But in actual fact, sometimes it's us as women, unnecessary competition, wanting to feel like your light should always be above someone else's light. If someone does this, you feel like, well, I can do it 10 times better than that. And then you are stretching yourself even more, And yeah, at the end, it just feels like a futile exercise, because at the end of the day, we should be lifting each other up, like you're saying, We should be, I know they say brothers keepers, maybe we need to change it sisters keeper in some sense, because it needs to be that close to us to say, if I see another lady struggling, either at a lower position or a higher position than mine, I'm going to be that sister that's probably going to help them through. It does not mean doing much. Sometimes it just means listening. That's it. Sometimes it's as simple as that. So thank you so much for sharing that. And then Gloria, I just want to ask, I understand that you are leading in a high level position in the mining space, right? And I think there's always expectations, when you are either a line manager or in a higher position, to sort of like be visible as a leader, right? Show up like for your team. And on top of that, you have your own task and work and probably targets that probably the executives are probably looking at you to ensure that you are showing up. Then when it comes to spaces like this, wherein you have a big team of people, right? How do you balance visibility as a leader and protecting your own well-being at the same time? Because sometimes you can get focused on pouring into others' cup and then you are running on empty, stretch out in and out. So just want to understand from your side.
Yeah, no, it's very true. So I would like to acknowledge that really mining leadership visibility is critical. You know, people need to see you underground. They need to see you in safety meetings. They need to see you in decision-making spaces. And then I want to highlight that also being everywhere at once can quickly lead into burnout if it's not balanced. So this is my approach with my day-to-day basis on my workplace. So the first thing that I do, I prioritize. So I focus on being present where my visibility has the greatest impact, and such as safety briefings, crisis situations, or even mentoring moments. I also delegate where I empower my supervisors and my overseers, section leaders to carry forward the vision so that visibility doesn't depend only on me. So I share responsibilities with my team. Also, I set out boundaries. You know, there are things that are non-negotiable, like my well-being. I need to rest. I need time with my family. And if I don't do that, I know that I won't be effective as a leader. So I stick to everything that I prioritize on it. So just to close it, the true visibility for me is not about being everywhere at all time, but it's about being intentional. It's about being authentic and setting an example that sustain the leadership is possible. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. Hey, and I love that line that you say being visible does not mean being at every place, right? You know, there are certain instances where you are in a group of people, they're like, yeah, we can feel her presence even though she's not here. Like we can just feel that she will be standing with us because already they know the authentic you, right? That you're a person who shows up, and that if you are not showing up, obviously there is something that you're busy with, you know. Because sometimes I think there were also what is it? In one of the organizations that I worked for, right? They did a culture survey, you know, and I think psychological safety was a big issue, right? And then the results came out showing that actually people don't have faith in their current leadership, right? And it's not necessarily because they are not doing much. It's just because maybe people don't see them, people don't hear from them.
Yeah.
People only see them when there's culture survey results being displayed, you know, and they just feel like at the end of the day, you guys don't take us seriously, right? It's like you probably, you know, like they say, like when artists are nominated for awards, now they start being visible, saying vote for me, vote for me. But when there are no awards, they're just quiet. They ignore your comments on TikTok and Facebook and stuff like that. Then when there's an award, they shower you with all this attention and stuff like that. It just feels like it's not genuine. It's not authentic. And I think that's where we are moving away from as leadership these days, to say that when I have time, I'll make sure that you feel my presence. I make sure that there is something that you actually learn, but at the same time, not sacrificing my own personal well-being. So thank you so much, guys, for that. I see someone shared here on the chat, competition is a killer. And also the PhD, which, it's not the one we are thinking, but pull hair, Down syndrome is another block. Sometimes you are not aware of other women being in competition with you, or men for that matter. Yeah. And sometimes it's a good thing just to be focused on you, because you'll spend so much time playing chess, who's in competition with me, who is not, and it's not actually even necessary when it comes to that. So I want to go back to you, Fikile. I think it's gonna be like a more similar question to what Gloria just asked, right? To say, how do you personally balance being a leader who supports others while still prioritizing your own well-being, right? Because in instances, let me just make obviously a scenario, right? Let me just say you are burnout. I won't conclude that you have been. I'll just assume probably you have not, but in this scenario, you are burnout. And then, like you said, that you prioritize the people that you work with, right? Your team and everyone in. And then they're coming and they're seeking for assistance in this instance. And maybe your enough is reached. How do you balance all of that at that instance?
Yeah. Um, I think the principle right now that's anchoring me where that is concerned is the idea that I can truly love myself and love others fervently at the exact same time. It's possible. So caring and prioritizing the well-being of others and caring and prioritizing my own well-being, those two things are not mutually exclusive to each other, right? They can happen at the exact same time. And so with this in mind, I think I'm constantly reminding myself to strike the balance that I need to be well to serve well. I can't do what I need to do, which is prioritize the well-being of my people, if I am not in a good state of well-being, right? And so I guess back to, I think Gloria mentioned it, that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And so it's counterproductive. And I think it goes back to the idea that when we live in a perpetual state of self-sacrifice, it sounds noble, right? It sounds like a thing to look up to, right? And it's beautiful. We talk about being a servant leader, all those buzzwords in corporate now. We say that, but I think sometimes we don't realize that if the price of serving others is ourselves, it's actually counterproductive, right? And so I can't support the wellness of my people if I myself am not well. And so when I can marry those two things together, I understand that it's not selfish to prioritize my well-being. It's not selfish. If anything, it positions me to do what I need to do to prioritize the well-being of our people, right? And I think some of the ladies have also mentioned boundaries, right? How those become important. And I think where boundaries are concerned right now, for me, I understand as boundaries as something that sets the tone for how you allow others to treat you. Okay. And so if you allow others to treat you as a robot, to acknowledge you as a non-flesh and blood, then it creates a problem, because then you put yourself literally in a position where you allow others to treat you as inhumane, whilst you are going all out, to do the absolute most for others, to be empathetic, to be a servant leader, to do this and to do that. But actually, it's not healthy for yourself. It's really, really not healthy. And so I think it becomes important for me to always put at the forefront my own humanity, right? And in conversations with people, I believe in being vocal about your boundaries as well. You have to communicate what your boundaries are, or other people are going to push those boundaries that they're not aware are actually boundaries. And then what do? As a leader, you become bitter. As a leader, you become resentful. And so communicating how other people should treat you, i.e. your boundaries, becomes really, really important. And so I'll give you an example. Recently, my manager, I was eating lunch, right? And so the default setting, unfortunately, I'm not saying I've arrived, I'm still working on this. So this is a live example of failure where boundaries are concerned. So recently, I'm eating lunch, and I'm kind of typing halfway, and I'm kind of thinking about something else that I need to do instead of actually stepping away and just enjoying my lunch, right? And so she walks in and she's like, "Oh, hi." And then she notices I'm eating lunch. She says, "Oh, I'll be back." Okay, you're eating your lunch, I'll be back. And I said, "No, no, no, wait, it's fine. We can talk about it." To which she said, "No, you eat lunch right now. This is your time to take a break. I will see you later. And that reminded me that, sure, it is so beautiful when you're in a position where you communicate your boundaries, but other people actually advocate for your own well-being. It is such a beautiful thing to get to that space. And so I think I'm blessed in that regard as well, that that brings me into balance as far as, my day-to-day is concerned. But I think, yeah, in essence, it becomes so important to accept your own humanity and bring that to the workplace. Because when you paint yourself as this untouchable, unstoppable, robotic machine, people tend to treat you that way.
Wow, thank you so much. I hope I'm not the only one who's gonna be searching who's your line manager or the manager you're referring to. Probably we're gonna be sending our CVs,
AKA the best manager in the world. Just saying.
Because who wouldn't want a line manager? It's like, eat your lunch. Oh my God. Like, I mean, that's just love on its own, Jay. It's just someone saying, it's also important to fuel your body, such
Absolutely.
amazing, like, guess that you just shared. I love just what you said. And I think another point where you say sacrificing ourselves, it seems like it's something that it's rewarded these days, it feels like it's not about me, it's about other people, I come last, and I think you just shared perfect examples, which definitely just teaches us to stay. It goes back to the same thing to say you cannot pour from an empty cup. Obviously, you have to take care of yourself, and also having a community that reminds you. I think in these instances that you are important, you yourself, not what you do. And that's a good thing, because sometimes we feel like what's valued at work is actually what we do, right? Not necessarily you yourself, a person, the
Absolutely.
person. So that is definitely spot on here. So Spunkile, I mean the next question that I'm gonna ask, right? It's coming down, and I think probably maybe if some of the panelists have something to share around this, to say that wellness is actually perceived as luxury. I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't know if if someone agrees with me, if they can just raise their hand so that probably if you do agree, saying wellness, when you speak about I remember one time I was sharing with my team and I'm like, yeah. And then I was talking to my therapist and they're like, you talk to a therapist? Like, they're like, so you talk to a therapist? Why? Like it seems like it's a luxury per se, speaking to a psychologist or actually wellness experts like Sibongile here. It's like just having that 1 hour where you go speak to someone. It's like, oh, it means that you have time. Oh, it means that you have money. How do we refrain from thinking like that? I'll just like Swangile to go first. And then if any of the panelists also want to just share from that. Because sometimes I think, and this is the stigma that we speak about, to say that actually people end up not going because you always feel like your friend is your therapist, right? I mean, I have friends, guys, and I'll be there telling them my problems, and they're like, Chomi, do it this way, not even consider probably straying me away from what I should be doing, because obviously there's always emotions involved in our friendship, and they're looking at it from their own point of view, and sometimes it just helps to meet with an expert or probably get advice from someone who studied this thing, who's well experienced, and we don't look at it as just a luxury. So how do we refrain from that?
I think it would be firstly starting to shift mindsets, to understand that wellness is part of productivity. As the common saying has been flying around to say, you cannot pour out from an empty cup. You need to replenish yourself as much as you can. I think both ladies have kind of touched it in their previous comments now. It's not a luxury. I want to take it to saying that wellness is really about coming back and performing at your best, you know, from having attending sessions. I just want to give, I'm going to give an example of what I'm saying. It comes back to it being a matter of safety within the workplace. It's about mitigating safety within the workplace. Why or where am I going at with that? There's a recent case that I had of someone that works underground that came through, and they are struggling with extreme anxiety. And I say, so what happens? You know, what do you experience? He says, I struggle with focusing. I can hardly concentrate on one thing for a long time. I don't sleep enough. I struggle with heart palpitations. I'm always anxious. There's just a couple of things that you mentioned. And I'm saying, and where do you work? And he says to me, underground, you know? And I'm saying, for how long have you been experiencing this? And he says, it's been more than a year. Now, my question is, if we see it as a luxury, we've got an HR manager here, we've got one of the top managers here. If I'm saying such, and this is what maybe some of the thoughts or ways of viewing taking care of yourself, you know, by your regular person that works underground, where are we going? Wellness is about people moving to a point where they can understand that we need to normalize taking care of me. We need to normalize and shift to a mindset of understanding that it's not about self-indulgence. You know, I'm taking myself out for coffees. No, I'm taking myself for therapy, as you've said. But it's self-preservation. You know, how do I preserve me? Because I'm an asset in this mine. I'm an asset underground. I'm an extra pair of eyes. There's been a number of fatal, you know, on the mine. If I'm not preserving myself, if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm working in an environment whereby I've got a supervisor that doesn't understand the importance of me going to my session on a weekly, what am I dealing with? Does this person understand the risk that is involved in service delivery on a day-to-day basis? Does this person understand how much this affects even the productivity or the return on investment in this mine, in this particular mine? Wellness is about taking care of you. It's about going back to say, it's not about looking at, have I used my medical aid? Has it been depleted? Am I going to wellness, going for my wellness sessions? But it is about also saying, I'm going home and I need to be well when I get home. Am I able to draw those boundaries to say, it's me taking off the cap of workplace and understanding how to do that and actually going home to now being a different cap, wearing a different cap. The fully functional mom, you know, if I will be vulnerable, I'm vulnerable, but I've taught my kids because I've learned skill to say, how do I express myself better? You know, mommy's not feeling well today. Oh, mommy's not feeling, can I make you a cup of tea? Can I massage your feet? What can I do to make mommy feel better? It's about being capacitated within the different spaces. It's not only going to therapy, it's also sometimes, you know, the difficulty of trying to fit in or stopping what you're doing, or understanding when they say, there's somebody here to give an awareness session on a particular topic. The importance of you dropping that because they've given you an opportunity to go and learn, to go and de-stress, to go and listen, take in something, take a skill, take information, take a practice, take just being in that space to see how or what can I get to walk away with here that betters me as a person. it is about an organizational culture that really matters, because in the past we've struggled. It's not in all sectors where we have been able to access services whereby it's normalized that there's a wellness program. If deliverables are needed and performance is needed and numbers need to be met, we would find that it was difficult for wellness programs to run concurrently, understanding that it is as important to take care of this asset that needs to show up fully to provide the service that you're paying them for in order for you to continue with productivity as they swap shifts. This group is going in for a session, and this group can carry on working. So it's understanding that wellness is an essential. It is not a nice to have. It is your daily functioning and showing up fully and wholly as a person in the different spaces where you are required to show up. I don't know, can I cut it there and give somebody else an opportunity?
Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, I think you definitely did cover a lot of points to say that it's not a luxury. And I think it's the same stigma that we're trying to run away from. I don't know if any of my panelists would like to just share something on that. Is wellness a luxury, guys? I'm telling you, true stories, hey? True stories. You know, sometimes when you tell people, like, I think someone shared there to say that they're going to, I think it was Raksha, to say that they're going to therapy and then their friends make fun of it, right? Because to be honest, guys, this life that we are living, all of us, is the first time we are living it, right? And we do not know everything and what not to do, right? Sometimes we think that we are handling. I mean, the most puzzling thing that I got to learn about my body, right, and mental health is what happens to my body when I'm stressed, you know? What happens? I once landed in hospital, guys, true story. And when I got to hospital, it's because I was so stressed so much that I had told myself that I can handle it because I've handled worse. Not that thing that you feel like, because life keeps on happening, that's true. When things are happening at work, you are losing loved ones, there's a lot going on. There's just a lot of everything happening at once. And I was so much in denial, guys. I was like, no, I'm okay. Until I was hospitalized. And I mean, I was there self-diagnosing myself as I always do with doctors. And I'm telling them, no, I think it could be this. Then they're like, okay, let's do a brain scan. They took me in, brain scan. I came out, they're like, everything is fine, ma'am. I'm like, no, it must be something. There is definitely something in me. I mean, they did all the tests they can do. Afterwards, the doctor came back to me with all the tests, and he said to me, and I won't forget that. He asked me one question: are you stressed? Just that one question. I'm expecting a long list of prescription. Like, tell me which pill I need to take and syrup and whatnot. And then he sort of like breaks it down to me to say that you don't understand that if you are not well mentally, like, it impacts your whole body, you know, to a point where I was hospitalized for a whole week. So when I made it business after that to say, I don't even know my own body. How can I just sit in some darkness and I don't even know how to handle it, you know? I don't even know how to navigate it. These are things I'm experiencing for the first time. I have no idea. Your friends will only tell you as much as they know. That's it. Sometimes maybe you need someone who knows more than your whole circle. And maybe that's why they say that if you're the smartest one in your circle, probably find another circle, because these are key important things, you know. We're same peer. You tell them this is what's happening. They just tell you, no, everything's gonna be okay, my friend. Nah, don't worry, you know, time, take it easy and stuff like that, but they will never fully understand. And when I sat down for my first session, and just to give you a tip, because sometimes it takes time to find the right therapist. You know, sometimes you meet some and then you're like, this one is not gonna work for me. And then you take time. And I remember the first one that I sat down with and I just cried. I did not have to say even a thing. So, but it helped me so much. So I don't think it's a luxury, but I don't know what else my panelist has to say. But that I was just sharing that. It was just an ad break. Sorry.
If I can jump in here, it's definitely thank you for the ad break. It's definitely not it's not a luxury. It's not a luxury. Um and I think to just go back to my point about the focus of well-being being a business imperative, one of the things I've been reflecting on, and Patu, you put it us to consider the shift we're making from personal self-care to how we are changing workplace cultures so that they drive or within them or embedded within them is this key focus or key drive towards empowering our employees so that they are in a good state of well-being, right? And so one of the things I was thinking about around, what is the cost, right, of our people actually not being in a good state of mental well-being? And I think research has shown enough that there's an actual financial or monetary value to how much companies are losing on an annual basis for a lack of focusing or for a lack of not being intentional about nourishing the well-being of employees. And it becomes so key. And so perhaps just to add my own mini ad break, if I will, where at the Particle Group, we live this stuff, right? I'm so proud of the company I work at because we live this. It's a reality for us, right? Where we believe wellness is not just a shared responsibility, like I mentioned, where, our employees are actually in their own corners of the company, are taking responsibility to drive wellness within the company. Beyond the shared responsibility aspect, I believe that wellness is a shared experience. Right? It is a shared experience, and that is how you begin to embed it within the workplace culture so that it is not seen as a luxury, but as an imperative, because we drive that narrative. Leaders and companies drive the narrative that wellness and your wellness is our people. It's not oh, I hope you're okay, right? We drive the narrative that it is so important to the success of this business that you are okay. Therefore, we are going to put measures and things in place that are going to support your well-being, right? And just to give you some examples, just to bring it home a bit, we've put certain things in place that are really fun, I think, because we think, wellness can be fun. It doesn't always need to be that daunting, snot-faced conversation with the therapist. I think wellness within culture or embedded in culture, it can be fun as well. And we're always saying as well as leaders that when we are driving our wellness initiatives, some people don't even know it's happening, right? It's not, oh, we are going to XYZ and we believe this is how it's going to drive your wellness, or this is how it's going to improve your well-being. Some people don't even know it's happening. They're just having fun, and you're laughing, and you're having, a non-work related conversation with colleagues, or, you're just talking about your family, and it just lights up your world because you're speaking about something that's precious to you. They don't even know wellness is happening or wellness driving is happening, but it's happening while we're having fun. And so if I could give you some examples, like we have a culture calendar that we put up each month, right? And so literally we put it up, everybody can see it, whether it's next week Wednesday, everybody has to wear red, right? And you think it's a small thing, but it's a big thing because sometimes people come wearing black, unfortunately, and we're like, why is everybody wearing black today? And we're like, oh gosh, okay, we're not too sure where our people are at from a mental health perspective, because those things really do something for your well-being. And so like, we're going to make everybody wear pink next week, you know, and that's going to be that. And we take pictures and we have fun. It's those small curated moments for us that embed wellness as part of our culture. We believe in screen breaks. So literally, come on, everybody, get away from your desk. We're just going to go hang out, make a cup of coffee. We're just going to stand in a circle and talk about nothingness. And that is wellness, right? That is, you know, supporting the well-being of our people. We also have a buddy system, right? And so we're not, you know, forcing anybody to be best friends with anybody, but we're saying at least just have somebody who you can grab on your way to the kitchen to make your cup of coffee and just, you know, chat and just forget about work for a moment. And so, you know, these are some of the things that we've weaved into our day-to-day that are infusing into our workplace culture wellness, right? And by doing that, we take responsibility for driving the narrative that says, listen, your wellness is not a by the way. Your wellness is a business imperative for us. And we will do whatever it takes from a company perspective to be able to support you in those ways.
I mean, it's an understatement, but I said the previous time we're going to look for your line manager. Now we're going to be looking for where to send our CVs because, oh my God, your workplace is fun. Like, it's really fun. And I think what you're saying, it seems like it's small, seems like it's small things. And maybe that's what it takes, you know, to just create that environment, you know, where people can just be free. They can let their guard down. And then tomorrow it's much more easier for them to also communicate, you know, and feel more safer. Because sometimes we are always too busy. We are too busy not to even make a cup of coffee or to even talk to someone while you meet them at the kitchen. It's like, hi, you make your coffee, you move. That's it, you know? And you spend months working with someone and you have no idea who they are, where they are from, what do they do. Even, I mean, it's typical that in an organization, you can meet someone every day and still don't know what they do. And then one day you are sent by someone, go and ask who, and it's you. Oh my God, I didn't even know that it's you. But I think such small things do matter, you know, and I think it's some of the things while you're speaking, I'm sure some of us are probably going to share them in certain organizations where we work or mining spaces to say that here's ideas. We don't have to do all of them, but maybe we can start somewhere and probably we can think of things that are probably going to be fun for us in that space. But definitely thank you for sharing that. Smongile, you want to share something? I can see a hand.
I'm trying to look for the raising a hand icon there, but I'm not finding it. I love what our previous speaker just said. It is beautiful, as simple as sharing a meal. I mean, being on site when you would find that it's the most tensest moment on site, and you see workers gathering together in, you know, the restroom to share a meal, and you listen and look at the behavior as they share a meal and they're having conversations. So much ice is broken, you know, and then I would interact and, you know, go back to saying, how well do you know each other? You know, how often do you look at each other and each other's behaviors? There's the quiet one that used to talk a lot, and nowadays just eating by themselves in the corner. You know, are we able to look at the smallest bit of behaviors in our colleagues, in our managers, our supervisors? Do we actually take time to look at each other and engage with each other to see when something is not okay, to see, we say red flags, you know, that this person is going downhill? So I love what the HR department is doing. It is phenomenal. It is beautiful. They must keep doing that. Wear the color red.
Yeah. Or black. Thank you so much, Smongile. Gloria, you have something to share?
Yeah, not to take too much of the time. So I just want to, you know, concur with what Sibongile and Fikile said, you know, and I think people think it's impossible for that to happen in the mining industry because we spend most of our time underground. But what I've seen worked in the past, even currently, is, you can just organize a day to say, I remember I did something at one point where it was Father's Day. So in the mining industry, you have people coming all over the world from different provinces and countries, And when it's Father's Day, they don't feel that love of the family. So because they spend most of their time at work. So what we did is, with Women in Mining, we organized some cakes, something very small, with special messages on it, and celebrated Father's Day at work. When they came in, we're just playing a nice music, giving them messages, giving them cakes. And on that day, I remember I made a record on production for that day. And nothing happened that was technical or anything, just for appreciating the men at work, to say, Happy Father's Day, we recognize you and we appreciate your hard work. It went a long way. So you can imagine what did to their mental health. They did not expect that, to say, oh, even our leadership acknowledges us, even our leadership appreciates us. So it really goes a long way. It should not be a luxury, just something simple that touches somebody's heart. It goes a long way. So it's very profound what they just said now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Hey, sometimes all it takes is for someone to see that you see them,
Yeah.
You see their efforts, and I think that's what it draws down to. And then they feel like it's enough. What they do is enough. They don't need to do anything out of the extraordinary per se. They just need to give it their all right now, currently. So I think, thank you so much for sharing that. And I can see, if you do have questions, because of time, right? If you can just drop down maybe questions there, probably maybe we'll take one or two just because of time. But I just wanted to ask Gloria one last question, to say that obviously, there are so many targets, right? And I think I also face it, right? Because I'm under sales, right? To say that there's always targets, there's certain pressures, there's a lot happening, raw materials, there's customers not ordering, a lot of things that are happening, right? And I think that's where even more people, like, they're always anxious, They don't know. You're always thinking, will I meet my target? Will I meet my goals this month? What's going to happen at the end of the year? Is it going to impact my bonus? That's what people are always thinking throughout the year, every day. And that's why when they say you're always on, honestly, when it comes to work environment, and I mean in the mining spaces, this is what we refer to. So how do you sort of lead your team while in instances where this pressure situations, what are some of the things or tools that you assist your team with that maybe we can also learn and probably take in and use them in our lives?
So let me highlight that mining is by nature high pressure environment. Like you just mentioned, there's deadlines, there's production targets, and then most importantly, there's safety. So pressure is constant. So, but the way we lead under that pressure determines whether teams thrive or they burn out. So through my experience, I have learned few things. And number one is communication. Don't underestimate the power of communication, especially when, there's pressure. Because once there's communication, there's clarity and it reduces stress. When there's clarity, then it reduces stress. So when people know exactly what is expected, it prevents panic and a lot of mistakes. So communication for me is number one priority. And the second one will be the women first leadership. Everyone has been talking about it. 𝗣𝗵𝘁𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗂 about, put before you as a person, or as a leader, just put that element of you being a human as a leader first, checking on how people are, how are you coping? Just beyond production numbers, we know we have daily targets and monthly targets, but also the human element is also important, and it creates loyalty and resilience within your team. The other one is the fairness and the consistency. People are watching you. People are looking at you, how you are treating everyone, how are you solving issues, So in high stress situation, people watch how leaders make decisions, being firm but fair, It builds trust even when outcomes are tough. And also I have learned to model calmness. When everyone is panicking, is running around, me as a leader, I need to be calm, and when you are calm, your team also becomes calm because now they see that, oh, so our leader is calm. It means we have a solution. If you're panicking and you're leading the team, then they will not now be stabilized. So you need to be calm, because calmness, it stabilizes the culture, of the authority in your leadership space. So those are the things that really help me as a leader to make sure that things are under control when everyone else is stressed out and is panicking. So in closing, I will just say a sustainable work culture in mining is built when pressures is managed with empathy, with structure and fairness. So people can handle tough conditions if they know their leader sees them, supports them, and values their well-being alongside the results. So in a nutshell, that's exactly how I cope in the high pressure environment.
No. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. Those are very, very important key things. And I love the fairness one because sometimes we forget that part, right? Under pressure, we feel like people are actually not watching, and that's what actually impacts a lot of our teams, well-being. Because now they feel like they can't even come to you because it's like you're doing it deliberately or so, but you are also noticing that they are indeed watching, right? I know there's a question. So I just want to ask, I don't know who's gonna take it. I'll just ask one of you guys. Maybe 𝗪𝗂𝘁𝗵𝘂𝘁𝗀𝗵𝗂𝗍. It's like, how do you deal with I think mean girl energy within the workspace?
Hey, mean girl energy. It's everywhere, it's everywhere, but I think it goes back to you knowing who you are, you knowing your area of operation, you not changing because of the energy that is being brought to you. It really goes with I think it's just knowing who you are, because if I'm staggering as I engage with people, because you get people that are being mean. I mean, being mean to others, it can stem from anything. It can stem from me wanting attention, me actually struggling and not really knowing, how to reach out to you in particular, because I see you doing something so well. It goes back to being connected with and listening to your own body and listening to using your body as a tool. Like I said earlier on, you can come into a room and you can just sense the thickness, but I've learned to actually listen to myself more and take in what is coming from it and trusting myself more, because sometimes you think you would need professionals to come and give you those skills, but sometimes it's really knowing you, connecting with yourself, understanding the 4 levels of balance that you need to have. I always say spiritual well-being. If you take care of yourself spiritually, you find a balance. If you take care of what needs to go into whatever it is that you believe in, that is the voice that will resonate and speak within you. And learning to trust that voice actually helps you in any environment, within any interaction, that you're able to sense, feel, and everything coordinates, and you'll know what you need to say or how do I need to walk away? Do I need to entertain this? Do I need to entertain every single comment that this person is saying? Do I need to even go further to saying I want to understand what this person is actually trying to say or bring out or bring into me or pour into me. So your spiritual well-being, your emotional well-being, being able to scan your emotions. How am I feeling? Checking in with your emotions. How does this person make me feel? Is it about them or is it about me? Are they triggering something in me? And if ever it's been triggered, what am I supposed to do about it? Am I supposed to do anything? Am I supposed to reach out? Your mental well-being is also affected by these two, finding that balance. And then it means you're able to make clear decisions. You're able to actually make clear decisions to say, should I act on this or should I not act on it? Physically, you need that balance. So all these four need to reach a level of balance where you learn to trust yourself and know who you are and know when and how you'd actually be able or need to respond to that mean girl or not, or that energy, do I want it in me, do I not want it in me?
Yeah,
I'm just seeing the
that's
time,
true.
so I'm not trying to
Yeah,
wrap up.
that's true.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And just because of time, I'm sure we still had a lot that we wanted to share, but I'll probably just give 20 seconds each just for closing remarks, so that we definitely do try to close on time, even though we're already out of time. Fikile, if you can just take it away, just closing remarks.
All right. So I think a lot of very, very amazing things have been said and shared in the room and in the comments as well. And I think what I'd like to say is, can we and charge us to say, let's continue these conversations. These conversations are so, 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 so crucial. And I think I never want us to speak about wellness lightly, as if, oh, let's have this great hot topic conversation and then move on from it, right? Can we take these learnings and actually live them in our day to day, right? So again, as much as, we've said that, yes, wellness is a business imperative, we often look at it as their wellness is a business imperative. Remember yourself. You are also them. You are also a human being. You are also important. Your well-being is critical as well. And yes, it's a business imperative in terms of productivity, but it's important because you are here and you have a purpose in this life. You are here for a reason. And we only have this one life. And so if we lose ourselves, we lose our most valuable asset. And so can we please just take care of ourselves, prioritize ourselves, and then once our cup is full again, we can pour it to others.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Gloria. Closing remarks.
Okay, thank you so much. So with everything said tonight by our gorgeous ladies and everyone who joined us, I've learned that balance isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what truly matters and giving yourself permission to rest without feeling any guilt. So because a full cup pours better, keep it full. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice, short and sweet. Swangile, closing remarks.
Sure. Thank you for inviting me over onto the platform. Thank you from Figile, thank you from Gloria, thank you from you, and all the conversations that popped up. I just want to emphasize that showing vulnerability and allowing yourself to be vulnerable in safe spaces, obviously, is very, very crucial. You do not have to know it all. You do not have to have things put together. You can be an organized mess, but remember that the more in which you look within and learn to trust yourself and learn to look deeper and learn to accept and understand that the shadow that walks with you is an integral part of you in making you show up as your best. So take care of yourself, participate in wellness initiatives, and sustainability, sustain yourself, do as much as you can. Do not be afraid to reach out to a therapist. We are not that bad. Psychologists are not that bad. Social workers are not that bad. Take that time to reach out and pour into yourself. take that chance. And as I like what you said, that you also need to check, because therapists are not the same. Everybody brings a part of themselves into that session. And what I might pour into you might not necessarily be what the next person can pour into you. So learning to trust that inner voice and trust yourself more to say, this is the one. Take care of yourselves, take care of yourselves, take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And from my side, I'm sure currently, as we were just redefining enough, I'm sure everyone has left with a definition for themselves of what enough means. And definitely we'll see it with the results, creating those boundaries, not self-sacrificing yourself, knowing that you are enough also, and just loving on yourself, loving on yourself. And after your cup is so full, you can pour into other people's cups. For me, this was such an amazing session. And I'm going to leave you with a quote, guys, that says, courage does not always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice at the end of the day saying, I will try again tomorrow.